Now I'd like to move on to the meat of the matter. When we started research on the responsible resourcing project, the time it took us to do the state of play, which is saying what standards are there, what guidelines are there, and Marie-Therese and Stephanie also authored those reports. It took us a very long time to get those reports done. When it came to looking at case studies and flagship cases where responsible sourcing was actually being enforced, it took us a little bit less time, which is not a very comforting thought. And also when we picked 20 cases and said, what are we going to focus on? And as we went into the depth of those cases, there was a moment of, "Oh, hold on, this isn't really responsible sourcing. This is just some fancy words." I'm not saying there are good practices, not good practices out there. There are, but there aren't as many as we would have liked to see at this stage. So our panel therefore thought about saying, okay, enough about standards and objectives and guidelines. How is the implementation of these things going? And to do that, we said, let's have practitioners. Let's have the people who actually put this into practice and see, are we there yet? Or how much effort needs to be there? Or do we need to ask the European Commission for another 5 years to say how these things will be implemented? Not making a funding request just yet, but that gives me the pleasure of inviting four people who've been part and parcel of a resourcing project over the last 2 years and have indulged us for a number of times. I'm going to start off with introducing Rebecca Burton, who is from IRMA. Stephanie explained IRMA to a very large degree, but I like the title of IRMA itself, which is about Initiative for Responsible Mining Assurance. And that word assurance has a connotation to it. It is about not saying, oh, we have a certificate, but do we have assurance of how that certificate is? And if you look at the IRMA templates and whatever, these are a comprehensive set of standards and guidance that a mine is being assessed against. Now, Rebecca has an interesting job. Her job basically is to bring new companies into IRMA, which is not just sitting down and saying, looking, hey, how pretty our template is, but saying, why does this matter? What is the benefit to your company? And why does this investment and involvement benefit not only the company, but also the wider sustainability agenda in the world? After Rebecca, we have Olivier Grox, who is the head of the battery development at Qubits, Switzerland. You're not going to see a Qubits parked next to a Tesla, but trust me, the amount of electric vehicle and battery development that these guys are doing is fundamental to the whole changing of the transport sector. And as again, Stephanie has done half of these introductions for me, Olivier was involved in developing a process where the recycling of batteries, it closes the battery recycling loop and is a major business innovation in the e-mobility sector. Followed by these two, we have Jessie Cater, who is the program manager for natural resources and human rights and the Business and Human Rights Resource Center. Jessie has a transparency background with her previous work, but the entire goal of her organization is to work on corporate transparency, corporate accountability, to promote not only human rights, but eradicate human rights abuses. And she sort of has a wider lens over both the renewable energy and transition minerals sector. And finally, we're joined by Dr. Matthias Schlupp, who is the managing director of the World Resources Forum Association. And the WRF has been working on developing solutions on sustainable use of resources worldwide. And apart from a European lens, they also have work in Africa and Latin America and Asia, and sort of take policymakers, civil society, corporations, governments all together. And so we today are trying to find out, the essential question we're trying to address is, with this implementation of responsible sourcing practices, are we there yet? I suspect the answer is no, but we would like to find out more about where we can, where are we going?